Now hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are back at it again, checking out a bush airport in the middle of nowhere, which is always pretty interesting for me personally because, you know, as a European, we don't really have a lot of places that are really the middle of nowhere, right? And so we don't really have a lot of these very interesting airstrips, like this one. This is Kepyy. It's a very interesting ranch, and it actually exists. This is a very interesting one. Now this little ranch here is in the state of Idaho. Yes, we are actually in the middle of nowhere. This is a little interesting, I guess. Now we are spawned into a typical bush plane. This is the X-Cup. It can fly everywhere. This is basically a helicopter at this point. I mean, you can probably operate this plane on a helipad as well. That's no problem, right? And you know, it has these pretty thick tires that makes it perfect for runways like this. You know, this is obviously not paved. Let's go ahead and take off. A little bit of flaps as well. There we go. Now, this strip is obviously, it's not paved. It's a little banked, and also it's not very long, is it? The approach is probably very interesting as well. This is a pretty nice place, actually, not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure that you're gonna have a lot of fun with your plane here. Let's now move on to a plane that is bigger now, right? Alright, so, you know, in real life, I fly the Cirrus SR20. Recently, Hold My Beer Simulation says that's actually a developer studio. Came up with a new SR22 freeware. Yes, this airplane is free. Let's try landing that plane here. That's gonna be interesting. You know, the Cirrus, it's not really made for bush airports, like, at all. It's not even a plane that you want to operate on grass. But, you know, who cares, right? You're just gonna pull the parachute anyway, so it doesn't matter where you land, right? Alright, now welcome aboard the Cirrus SR22. This is the most modern version. This is the G6. Let's see if this plane can land here. In general, the Cirrus SR20 needs quite a long runway for its size. We're a little hot here, coming in. Looking good. You really have to get between those trees here. There we go. Now the brakes, there we go, and this is obviously a stop. It would have been weird if we actually crashed, right? Even though this was pretty close, this is really not a long runway. And you know, landing here isn't easy with all these trees here in the way, right in front of the runway. That is not perfect. Yeah, we really have to do very, very steep turns here right before landing, which is probably why landings here are always pretty much very late. This was very much messed up, but this was still successful. No crash, so no worries at all. Now let's move on to quite a bigger plane, I guess. You know what? We haven't used the LED turbolet in a while. This plane is quite nice, actually. Alright, welcome aboard the LED turbolet, also called the most dangerous plane that exists. It does actually have quite a bad safety record, to be honest. But that's not necessarily because this plane is bad, but because where this plane actually operates. Because this plane, it flies at the most dangerous places. At places just like this one. You know, it operates a lot in the wilderness, in Indonesia, in Nepal, but also in Africa, for example. At very remote places and dangerous runways, which caused this plane to have a very bad safety record. And now we're gonna have to take off because we don't want to also be in that safety record, right? No, but that was also a fine takeoff. Actually, we did use the whole runway this time around though, which is kind of worrying to me, to be honest. I mean, you know, we're gonna try out some jet airliners later on as well, right? So that can be a little close. But while we're still alive here, let's actually admire the beauty of X-Plane right now. This looks pretty nice. And there's another airstrip down here. There's countless of them here in the American wilderness, right? Like, genuinely, especially in Idaho, there's a lot of bush fields that are pretty interesting. But whatever, let's move on to a bigger aircraft. You know, I'm feeling actual airliner level now. Let's actually go ahead and try a plane that we don't really try it at all here. Let's now try a little bit of a more exotic plane, and that is the Breguet 763. I just feel like using that plane now. Alright, welcome aboard the very plane that is also called Deux Ponts, which means something like two bridges, which makes sense. This is actually a plane that has two decks. I think I made a video about this one a while ago. This is a French plane, and I called it the A380 of the 1950s. Yeah, this is a very interesting plane. This came out in the 1950s. Yes, this is pretty old. Now let's see if this old plane can fly here too. This is obviously a lot bigger than the other planes we have tried. Let's try using the whole runway this time around as well. The good thing about these older planes is that they obviously actually fly at a lower speed, meaning that, you know, they will use less of a runway for a takeoff or a landing. So I'm hoping for a successful takeoff, you know. Oh my god. Alright, maybe. Let's not crash into a tree. Oh, that might have been a crash, actually. Oh no. Oh yeah, very much dead. Nope, that didn't work out. That's very disappointing, actually. Yeah, we totally overshot the runway here, and we didn't gain enough speed at all to take off, which led to our crash later on. That was really not good. And now right through the trees. Yeah, this was really messed up. Now, let's move on to another type of plane, right? Maybe something like a jet. A plane that I would actually be comfortable flying here is the Pilatus PC-24. Yes, the legend of planes at this point, because this plane, obviously, it can fly at pretty much any place as well. It's a Pilatus plane, so you can basically fly this plane to a cornfield or something. The landing gear will be fine. Yeah, genuinely, this plane is certified to operate on grass and snow and sand runways, which is very, very interesting for a jet plane. It's a big exception. So I genuinely have a little bit of hope here. This airstrip, it might just be one of the most dangerous ones I have tried so far. I haven't failed that much in a single video. Let's get this plane landed. This is gonna be a hard landing, let me just say that. Alright, there we go. That was a touchdown. Let's hope that we can stop. Oh my goodness. Oh, logs. I mean, you know, could have been worse. Yeah, this was seriously messed up here. It's really hard to use the whole runway for a landing here. It's impossible basically because of these trees. And we use this little, I call it a runway extension now. And I mean, this was technically not a crash. In real life, we would have probably severely damaged the airplane by crashing into these logs here. But other than that, this was a totally successful landing, right? Yeah, no, this is not really easy. Let's try something of a bigger plane, maybe the Saab 340. Alrighty, you know, the Saab 340 is one of those planes that aren't, you know, that big, but still can carry passengers, but are also able to fly on short runways, which is a recipe for the perfect plane, right? Let's use the whole runway here. We're a little bit in the middle of the bush, but that doesn't matter. Okay, full power, some flaps too. This shouldn't be that much of an issue. The Saab 340 is quite tough, so no problem at all. Go, now a takeoff. Perfect. See, that was pretty nice, and you know, we are just casually flying. This plane also has a decent speed, so yes, you can have airliner service with the Saab 340 here at this airport perfectly fine, but you know, let's actually try a genuine jet plane now. 737 it is. This is gonna be a pretty interesting landing. Let's actually try using the other side of the runway this time around. I think it's a little easier for landings. By the way, this runway is only 416 meters long, which is like 1,000 feet. That explains a lot. I didn't even expect it to be that short. Yeah, no plane that is bigger than like a Cessna is practically able to fly here safely. 400 meters, that might just be one of the shortest runways on this planet. Let's get this plane landed. You know, it doesn't even need to be that smooth of a landing. Just imagine you have to do some kind of emergency landing here in the middle of the Idahoan mountains. You know, there's actually a trick on how to stop more quickly, and it's not putting down the landing gear. It works, I guess. I mean, at least you have a better chance of survival with that method. This is not going to be very comfortable. Trees. Alright. There we go. That was pretty nice. Alright, there we go. That was a very quick stop, and we're now in the river, I guess. That went actually faster than I thought. We might have completely died. We might have killed a few hundred people now, but it kind of worked out anyway, didn't it? There we go. That was the landing. Could have been worse. Yeah, you know, it is practically impossible to fly anything of a decent size here at this airport. It's kind of stupid, because it doesn't work anyway, so what's the point? Well, let's try it anyway. Something like the 757. I mean, what can go wrong? Okay, we're going full power. Let's release the brakes. This is a very nice static takeoff now. Let's see if it was static enough for this little airstrip. 70 knots, 80 knots, 90 knots, and death. I think even Lukla is a more suitable place for this plane. Alright, yeah, this didn't work out at all. Oh, and here's some cars. Or maybe now? I mean, this could also be used as a runway extension. There we go, a little bit of an off-road runway, I guess. Oh, that's practically impossible. Oh, maybe now, maybe now. Alright, mountain ahead. Looking good. I think that was a very successful takeoff, and now this airliner can continue its flight to... any place in the US, really. No problem at all. Yeah, this is kind of stupid, honestly. Alright, yeah, what can we say? Yeah, this is one of those airstrips that is only for the toughest of the toughest planes and pilots. I mean, we even struggled to fly a plane like the PC-24 here, which is pretty much a first timer. Also, these steep turns here on final approach I don't like. Alright, now the landing with the Twin Otter. There we go. That was actually quite nicely done. The Twin Otter is able to fly anywhere. This is probably the only suitable plane for this place, really. Or at least this is the biggest plane that I would be comfortable flying here, honestly. Yep, here's the landing. There we go. And a quick stop as well, no problem about the Twin Otter. But, you know, jet planes, they don't belong to this place. Let's maybe try doing one last landing, but instead let's actually use this little river here for a landing. You know, here in the flight simulator right now, for some reason, the river isn't registered as a river, but as an actual static, solid ground. So that could actually make a nice landing, right? Or at least as some kind of successful landing. Alright, can we make it? Let's try the without landing gear landing thing again, because, you know, it worked out very, very well the last time. Now let's just put this plane down somewhere and see if it can stop. It's pretty stupid. Alright, here it is. Oh, god damn it. Yeah, I think that's a mission that we failed successfully. So, yeah guys, thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you tomorrow. As always, good night.